So this video is going to be on how to keep that loving feeling. So once you find your partner, um, how to keep that good stuff going. And you have to be intentional about it and regular about it. Otherwise, what happens is you grow apart, you neglect your relationship, and then you end up divorced. I'm sorry to say that, but I know too many people that that's happened to. So how to keep that loving feeling flowing. So gratitude is number one, as I've said in other videos. But what I mean by that is really being mindful of what your partner does for you. There's a lot of things that they're probably doing for you. So just really focusing on that and being thankful for it. You could be thankful in private, but also really tell them when you notice, especially when you notice. Because that's part of the next one, which is positive reinforcement. So you want to positively reinforce anything that you want to keep seeing with your partner. So if they buy you coffee, make sure you thank them for that and you're grateful for that. Or if they make you coffee in the morning and they bring it to you. Or if they go to work and they have a really hard day, and part of the reason they're going to work and they're working so hard is because they want to be with you. So sometimes it's that, like, thank you for working so hard for me. I know so many men in particular that would love to hear that. But women too, because women are working a lot of times in the home and in the, not that men aren't, men are too, are working in the home with the children and also working out in the world. So I think all of us really want to hear thank you for that and want to be seen. We want to be seen for everything that we do and recognized and valued. So any kind of positive reinforcement really helps. And positive reinforcement for working on the relationship, for showing up, for listening. Anything that you want to keep seeing, validate it and positively reinforce it in whatever way is positively reinforcing for your partner. It's going to be different for everyone. So for some people it will be, thank you so much for doing that, I really appreciate it. And for others it will not be that at all. It will be more like a smile, a hug, holding their hand. So you have to also find out what's positively reinforcing for your partner. And then, like, almost everybody gets into arguments, what I call negative cycles, the argument that you keep having over and over again that you just can't resolve. But what helps for that is being able to create spaces of vulnerability. So when you're not arguing, I'm talking about when you're not arguing, being able to regularly have conversations where you share your feelings with each other, your primary feelings of like sadness, fear, shame. If you can regularly do that with your partner, it creates a sense of trust. And then when you do get into arguments, you're more connected to each other, and so you're less likely to yell or react in an angry way. But you have to treat each other kindly in order to get to that place. So another one would be being aware of how your partner might feel. So there are these behaviors that are pretty common among people when you get a little bit dysregulated or emotionally reactive. Most people either like pursue or go after the other person, criticize, like blame. And then the other side of that would be withdrawing. So dismissing, shutting things down, walking away. So when you do that, because we're going to do that, it's part of being human, just say to your partner, narrate it for them, because they don't know what's happening for you inside. So just narrate it for them and be like, I'm walking away right now because you brought up something that makes me want to walk away from it. I'm not walking away from you. I'm trying to walk away from that feeling that I'm having right now. So if you say something like that, your partner's less likely to get reactive, and you're more likely to have a better go of it. So for pursuers, you could, once you start seeing yourself like blaming or criticizing, you can let your partner know, I'm sorry right now. I'm being really critical of myself right now, and it's coming out at you. Or I'm feeling really frustrated right now because this situation is not going the way I want it to, and I really want to blame it on you because I feel like I don't have any control over it. So something like that kind of narrates what's happening for you, but takes the pressure off your partner of trying to figure out what's happening. And meditation is really important because meditation will give you compassion, perspective, and it will also help you with emotional regulation so that you don't get dysregulated so easily and snap and yell. I'm a yeller, so that has been really important for me. Yelling is very damaging to your relationship. So you want to try to figure out how not to do that. But I know how hard it is not to, when that's kind of been, you learn that as a defense. And when you just do that automatically, it's really hard to stop that. So I have found meditation to be really helpful for that. And then making time and space for each other. And you have to set that, because you know other things will just fill that if you don't really make that an intention, and set that in your calendar. And then time is easy to understand, but by space, I mean like emotional and mental space. Like, you don't want to just attack your partner when they come home and start telling them everything about your day. My husband and I had a lot of arguments about that early on. We would just like walk in the door and just be like, oh my God. And we would just like start telling each other's day. And then we would quickly get dysregulated and get into a negative cycle. So just creating that quiet space for each other to kind of process your own thoughts and then be able to talk to each other. That's really important. So I like walking, because you can kind of both kind of calm down as you walk, especially outside. And then it's easier for you to talk to each other in a calm way. And then the last one that I have is setting goals and regularly checking in with them. And that's important because we do want to give each other feedback, and that often comes out as criticism. And I find most people are very sensitive to criticism, and that doesn't usually go well. But we need to be able to do it with each other, because if we don't, what happens is we start holding everything in, really focusing on the gratitude, and that's really great. But then we start like swallowing stuff that really bothers us, and eventually it comes out, and it comes out not in a great way. So if you have like a planned time where you set goals for your relationship, and then you have that time to also like check in on those goals, if you keep it as a regular time, but you set the goals yourself and you don't set them for each other. Because if you're doing that, you're also going to get into a negative cycle. Like if you're like, yeah, I don't think you really did very well at that one. I think you really sucked at that one this week. I would let your partner kind of evaluate themselves. If they're not doing a good job of that, then you might have to think about some other way. But I think people can usually evaluate themselves pretty well. And so that's really all that I have, but I think those are really great ways to keep your love flowing in a relationship and keep it going. So I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm a couples therapist, and people often ask me, what can we do to keep things going well? And so those are the things that I've come up with after 20 years of seeing couples. So those are the things that work. And I've also used them in my own relationship. I've been married for 23 years. And in another video, I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm doing what I'm doing and what motivated me. Thanks for listening, and I hope that helps.